Welcome to the complete animation of Dynomutt from the 2020 movie Scoob. I gotta say, this movie had a lot of problems, but the people who animated Dynomutt did a really good job. Well, actually, everybody who animated on this movie did a pretty good job. The textures are pretty good, the faces are very expressive. I This movie does not fall into the trap that Raya and The Last Dragon falls into of looking like, almost any other animated movie in terms of the character designs. It's like if you look at the faces in this show, they're either directly inspired by, the classic Scooby-Doo cartoons or what other animated properties they're drawing from. So they did a very good job of taking those old designs and translating them into 3D. But yeah, so I'm not here to bash on Raya and the Last Dragon. I just really think that the designs for the human faces in that movie aren't very unique. But anyway, let's talk more about Scoob. I never knew that Dynomutt was a character until this movie. And then I looked it up and it's like, oh, so Blue Falcon and Dynomutt are like really old. Like from the late 70s, early 80s kind of old. And but as I looked into it, I found that I really, really, really didn't like the original depiction of Dynomutt. He had this derpy hurt sort of a voice. Yeah, didn't like that. I really like the sort of snarky, sarcastic version that they have here in Scoob a lot more than the original old one that they had. I think that the voice actor of Dynomutt did a really good job. Although a bunch of the jokes that they have in this movie seem a little too on the nose. Things like directly referencing social media and whatever. But, I didn't go into this movie thinking that it would be anything great. I just saw the commercials and thought that, oh wow, this is a modern CG movie that actually has some appealing character designs and looks competently animated. And it turns out that of all the characters in the show, Dynomutt was the one that caught my eye the most. Like, just how wacky his design allows him to be, where he can just basically have any gadget or whatever. It's pretty cool. Although, it's kind of weird, his face. It's like, they do some things that make his face look like a regular dog, but then there's other things that make it look like a robot. Especially his eyes. Look at those things. The eyes on Dynomutt have this weird, sort of expanding ring effect going on, going out from his irises. It goes all the way across the whites of his eyes. Like, it's not really distracting or unpleasant, but it's definitely a little, like, it's an effect that, you notice. And obviously his extending neck is, they have a lot of fun with that. It's like, as I watch animated movies, the thing that always sticks out to me is like, wow, it looks like whoever was animating that had a lot of fun. And if they're having a lot of fun animating it, then sometimes, I have a lot of fun watching it. And so, Dynomutt basically did that for me in this movie. In fact, thinking back to it, I don't think that there was much else in this movie that really felt like it was just fun and whimsical the way Dynomutt was. I get like, and oh my goodness, the little robots on Dick Dastardly's ship. Oh my goodness, those are like the biggest Minions knockoff ever. I'm sure that they tried to merchandise those with toys or whatever, but obviously I haven't looked into it. But yeah, Dynomutt has some really good facial expressions. Like, and they use his ears. Oh my goodness. It's like the the thing about animals in animation is that they often have these big old ears, and if you look at real animals, they use those ears as part of their body language. Um, like dogs, whenever they're shying away from something, in addition to putting their tail between their legs, they also, put their ears down. Um, and animators have been able to really tap into that. And I'm so glad that they did it with Dynomutt. Ears, don't just keep them stuck up the whole time. Use them. Like, throw them around in things. The ears on animal characters in animation can really just be that much more to help sell whatever expression they're expressing. So yeah, I'm really glad that they used Dynomutt's ears correctly. I will say one thing about this movie, Scoob, is that the the core gang, besides Scooby and Shaggy, were super awkward and like didn't do anything. Like, I felt like this movie was really about Scooby, Shaggy, and the Blue Falcon crew. And obviously, I enjoyed Dynomutt the most because I made this video. It's like, I don't know if people really notice, but I don't. It takes a good while to make these complete animation videos. I have to scrub through the entire movie. I make sure that I do frame perfect cuts. It's like the frame where the character ends up appearing is where I start the cut, and the frame where they stop appearing is where I end it. And it takes a good bit of time to do that. And in order to focus on just the character, I crop into all of those cuts to focus on just that character. The Yeah, so it takes a good bit of time. Um, I've gotten better at it over the years, but yeah, it still takes a while. So whenever I make a complete animation of something, it's really for me. I do it because I like the character. Um, and so the fact that I'm willing to spend this much time on, a character like Dynomutt shows that I enjoyed, you know, that character, their animation. Yeah. So I think that this movie was all right. like, um, but it feels like they were trying to set up, like a Scooby-Doo cinematic universe. Not like a Scooby-Doo cinematic universe, more like a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, starting off with the most popular Hanna-Barbera intellectual property, Scooby-Doo. And I I don't know how successful that'll be. I don't know if they'll actually end up doing it. But all I can say is that if they end up making another movie in this sort of franchise, I hope the Dynomutt is in it, because especially this version of the character. Like, I cannot stress enough that the classic, 80s cartoon Dynomutt just doesn't do it for me. doesn't even really look like a robot. And I really don't like those things. I do like this joke. It's like, it's only sometimes where the metallic part of his face shines through. And once again, this sort of video, it takes so much time that my comments that are required so that I can actually post this without getting copyrighted is I tend to ramble. But yeah, so this was the complete animation of Dynomutt. I'm re-uploading this because one of the fans of my channel actually requested it, so thanks for watching.